I'm doing it on my phone as opposed to my laptop. I'm actually at a pub quiz, but I've gone to their function room, which isn't being used, to to come and do this.
Are you winning at the quiz so far?
It's just about to start, so I've got myself in a little bit of trouble because I'm probably going to miss a couple of rounds.
This is Sheer Isolation. It's presented by Kieran Moore in Trowbridge and John Ponting in Cricklade. Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. This is Sheer Isolation. I am John Ponting in Cricklade and Kieran Moore is in Trowbridge.
I still am.
But do we feel like we've recovered after our few weeks at festivals? Because I think I'm nearly there.
Physically I'm there, but the heat's not helping.
No, true.
But mentally I haven't finished yet, so I'm still firing on all cylinders.
You got more festivals to go. I think I'm done for the summer now. So the purpose of this show is to highlight and promote the local music and art scene across Wiltshire, across Somerset, across Gloucestershire. And every week we play a couple of tracks and we have a guest on. This week's guest is, it's exciting to hear about a new venue. We often talk about venues that are closing or being converted, but to have a brand new venue coming up in Salisbury, we're talking to Thom Belk, who is from Brown Street.
So Thom Belk, I've known Thom Belk for quite a few years, mover and shaker in the Salisbury scene. I discovered the other day that he's become the entertainment manager at Brown Street. And I knew that Brown Street kind of came out of nowhere and it had some link to the chapel. So I thought, what better than to get him on and to explain what's going on in Salisbury.
So for people who've been listening the last couple of weeks, you'll know we've been doing kind of festival summaries rather than full shows. So it is nice to get back into the swing of things now. The reason we couldn't do shows for the last couple of weeks is just because we've been a bit non-stop at festivals. So it's calming down a little bit now. We've got a bit more time. We can put a bit more focus into this. But Kieran, the gigs haven't stopped for you. So what have you been up to in the last few days?
Last weekend was Jack Fest. So our friend Jack Bell from the band's Lucky Number 7, he threw a festival birthday party for himself. And he invited all the best bands that he'd worked with in the last sort of 6 months to come and play. So it really was just fantastic. Just a load of mates all hanging out, a bit like what Trees is. It was the vibe of Trees, but in Wiltshire. It was absolutely fantastic. Carsick played, Life in Mono, Nerve Endings, Lucky Number 7, all sorts, Colour of Bone. It was just brilliant.
To have the ambition to have your own festival for your own birthday party. I struggle to get 3 friends around.
He went all in as well. He got the party bus, which did alcohol. He got Mr. Whippy. He got a pizza like flat, pizza place to come and do it. He had everything. It really was like a very, very small 100-cap festival.
We will play a tune. And Kieran, you have chosen this week's track. It's the new one from People Versus. I am familiar with them, but they're still gaining a lot of momentum. So do you want to tell the audience who they are?
Yeah, so the People Versus are a band from Oxford. They're sort of like a 6-piece band, I think it's 6-piece, and they're effectively chamber pop. It's very Kate Bushy, multiple harmonies, multiple instrumentation, and there's just nothing else like them on the UK music scene at the moment. I think they're exceptional. Their song Witch is absolutely incredible. But we're going to play their brand new song. This is a song called Ocean Family. And the reason I've chosen this is because A, it's their new song. B, it was given its Radio X exclusive debut play just earlier this week, and C, because I come to play in Trowbridge later in the year, and I want to get as many people hearing their music as possible because I think you'll all fall in love.
Did you call them chamber pop music? I'm not familiar with that term.
Chamber pop, yeah.
Or chamber pop?
Pop. Yeah.
I thought you said chamber pot as anything that you put under your bed when you live in a castle.
Ian, no.
If I were hidden, would you think that this vision light will
That is the brand new track from People Versus. It's called Ocean Family. Yeah, check them out. They are playing in the region later this year. I think they're on tour promoting
They're
their
on
new
tour in October. They start their tour in somewhere close to Trowbridge, but they finish their tour, I've just discovered, at the Hop Inn in Swindon. So that's a really interesting development for Swindon, because the Vic and Level 3 are so jam-packed with cover bands that original music is just not getting a look in. And so the Hop have started putting on original music, like Gaz Brickford's playing there very soon. So we're going to have to investigate this a little bit more, I think, John.
Where's the Hop?
It's in Old Town. So do you know, as you come in from Wroughton, you go up the hill, and you keep going up the hill, and you come to a roundabout. You go left-ish to go down to Old Town. It's on that roundabout on your right.
Oh, okay. Well, one to check out then. Interesting.
Yes.
That kind of links into our guest book about venues moving into music, but we'll cover that in a moment. It is that time of the week where I like to ask if you have any product placement or anything you want to share.
I do not, John. I do not. I'm afraid. Sorry.
Oh.
Next week.
When you're not in your studio, you've got, yes, I want to talk about this and this and this, but then when you're sat there, there's nothing.
No.
Is this because your house is upside down because of all the building work?
Yeah, I've just got so much to do. It's ridiculous. I'm actually sat in a pile of an inch of dust, so we'll worry about that later.
In that case, we will move straight on to our guest then. So yeah, there does seem to be a bit of a positive revival. Venues are increasing in number. It feels like we've gone through a very long period of venues and bars shutting. But you've just mentioned about the Hop in Swindon, and we've also got Brown Street in Salisbury, new venues which are just firing up. So do you want to? Have you been down to Brown Street? Do you know what it is yet, Kieran?
No, I haven't. I've not been in there. So I've only seen photographs, and it looks very, very appealing. It has a lot of potential. So it looks really exciting. So we'll see.
So the music there, and it's all being organised by the chap Thom Belk, who we spoke to a little bit earlier. I can't say that conversation and not also bring you into this, Kieran, because of what you're doing in Trowbridge with new venues.
Yeah, it's very similar vibe, him and me in different towns. So yeah, dealing with similar bands as well. So yeah, credit to him.
And fair play to Tom. He was sacrificing a round of pub quizzing to talk to, probably about 3 rounds, because once he started talking, he didn't want to leave.
Didn't stop. Do you want to just give us a quick potted history about your involvement in the Salisbury music scene?
So I'm Thom Belk. I'm the events manager at Brown Street. Previously, the Chapel, the Winchester Gate, the Old Ale House, Salisbury Arts Centre, put on bits there, Salisbury City Hall. Basically, most places that wanted music in town. Started when I was 18, so in 2005. I'm 35 now. Scarily. So quite a long stint in it now. Kind of pretty much half my life, actually over half my life, I've been doing it now. So yeah, I still am in bands now, and was in bands, but it gets to a point when you're at an age where you accept that you're not going to be the next Joe Tolbert or someone like that. But yeah, you get to a point where you realise that you're not going to grace those bills. So actually, no one's really doing very well for gigs in the city. So actually, putting those gigs on and giving people a good night is just as important as people that play on them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I've done that really. I've done bits outside of Salisbury, like used to do quite a lot down in Bournemouth when there was like the indie revival in like 2007, around that kind of time.
I remember it well.
Yeah, no, golden era. I think it's starting to come back around again as well. I did a lot with Lama Tree Festival until that sadly went as well. Used to do the Lama Tree Festival Breakthrough Awards. So myself and a few other promoters locally would be sent all of the applications, and then there'd be a process where there'd be like a Battle of the Bands style final.
So you've just said that you're at Brown Street. Now, for a lot of people, they won't recognise Brown Street because it is effectively a brand new venue. Tell us about how that came to existence.
Basically, during the pandemic, I know everyone's just thinking about the heat wave at the moment. They forget that the whole world was in lockdown, and that was actually a lot worse than it being hot. Isn't that right? So yeah, during that, obviously, it became announced that there was going to be Cultural Recovery Fund grants for arts venues. And where I was previously, which was the parent company of Brown Street, which was the Chapel nightclub, we'd always done community events and live music, not a lot, but kind of large scale events with stuff going on. So it was decided that what was the old R&B Soul Room would become this new venue, and that we would open a nice outdoor area with palm trees and colourful benches, and just generally like a really good vibe you won't kind of get anywhere outside of Bristol, London, really, and have a music venue inside. So we started being this small part of the chapel live. So it was mainly the nightclub and then the old church room, which is absolutely wonderful space to put music on in. And then we started off by having some of these events on, and some of the larger scale events we would have, like Oyster Band, Jazz Band would go in like the chapel, and then we'd have like your beans on toast and stuff in the singer, not the food item, if you're not aware of.
We know Jay very well.
yeah. Just in case the listeners don't. So we have stuff like that. So basically, dependent on Brown Street's like a 200 capacity venue, soon to increase next year, and the rest would be kind of like 400 and then 350. So we had some good space to work with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like essentially like an academy style venue where you had like 3 or 4 separate venues within one venue.
Yeah.
But then the decision came that before the pandemic, the nightclub industry, and not just the nightclub industry, as we know ourselves as event promoters, performers, etc., has been struggling for a long time. And the last thing that we needed really was this. So the chapel live brand went, the chapel itself went, and we're left with Brown Street. So I've had to sadly cancel some of the larger scale events, because in order for them to be viable, stuff like Tom Robinson and the Skids and stuff like that cannot be made viable in Brown Street of a 200 capacity venue unless you charge about 50, 60 quid for a ticket. And although a lot of artists on the touring scene are very happy at doing that, as we probably would have seen, we personally know that that's not possible. And so I'm back to the kind of £20 maximum ticket branch again, I'd say. We're trying to get people to come and support original music, but also it's a weird one. The thought of trying to charge them 15 quid is also a headache, which is weird, because these people will go and see, say, like an Ed Sheeran or Sam Fender or something like that, and pay 50 quid upwards to see them.
Yeah.
If you want to go and see them at one of your venues or mine, and we're trying to get people to pay like 10 quid to come and watch someone, then sometimes it's a struggle, and it's really weird. Do you know what I mean? It's really weird how people's brains are tuned. So you put on early bird offers in order to try and get people in, and then cover your costs, and then.
So how many gigs does Brown Street do at the moment? How is it doing a month? Is it like a weekly thing, or? Yeah,
so we have like at least one event on a week. We've actually got a gap this week. I haven't got anything on. But we tend to have something like an open mic or a jam night one night, and then like a singer-songwriter night, or like a live band DJ combo night, because we can use both areas, indoor and outdoors, and then like a dedicated live music night. So we do stuff like live lunches. So I started a concept last month on where we get 4 like acoustic performers playing. Nice. With like a little independence market and food and drink on a Sunday afternoon. Nice. Just trying to assess also, like, is it worth going head to head with people on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night? Or do we say, actually, we're going to create a concept where people come in and spend their Sunday afternoon with us watching live music and shopping local independence garments and eating food? So it's a tough one at the moment, isn't it? It's kind of a blank canvas for everyone. So it's really
big reset.
Scary. Yeah, it's scary, but also it's really quite exciting, because you can kind of just create a concept and go with it. So when I talked to you the other night about Carsick, who obviously we both think very highly of, the concept we had was their first. They've not played a gig in Salisbury. They've done one. They got Is What It Is came out, and they did a show, and it was all quite quiet. And then I was talking to Jack, and I said, right, we'll start it in Brown Street, but let's get it up to the chapel room. So I said, right, what we'll do is we'll do it as a free ticket, but we're going to just really hype it up and just drive everyone a little bit mad, so everybody thinks they want a ticket for the show. and we did it. We just, I don't know, it worked. So I've kind of done that concept with all of the shows so far, and people get behind it, because I just thought I was sick of doing like putting on a good band and then being like, yeah, free entry, just because the landlord, etc., says they're willing to put it up.
Yeah.
But you've got to make sure that if people think they can just turn up if they want to, then I think they're more inclined not to. So you've got to either do it, so you've got to have a free ticket to get in, or you pay on the door, or you've got to get this ticket for £5 or you won't get in. So it's helped me. I think I've learned a lot, and to not rest on my laurels, like actually put some real energy into it, not just putting a listing up thinking, oh, I've put time into getting a really good lineup here, and then people won't come. So you've got to go back to that building hype. And I can see what you're doing with the stuff that you do, in Trowbridge. And it's like, I think we both probably learned a bit from this time,
Yeah, massively.
So Tom, who have you got coming up at Brown Street over the next month or so?
So we've got a monthly thing called Music for Fun, which is a long-standing open mic and jam night for about 15 years or so. And it's a wide range of performers, everything from like college age all the way up to like post-retirement age. There's a full back line. So even if you've got a band and you just happen to be out having beers and you suddenly want to come and do a set, you can come on down. They've got everything there, even down to guitars and plectrums and everything. It's remarkable. So that's on the 28th of July. 29th, we've got Zucchinis, who are like an alternative covers band. Like I always try and promote original bands, but you've got to have a little mixture of stuff in there.
Yeah.
So that's good. Carsick on the 5th of August, which is sold out its allocation. We will be releasing some tickets on the night, though, so it will just be a case of finding out when they are and coming down if you haven't got them really, guys. And then on from there, we're just at a bit of a point where we're just trying to work out the best way to go with things, because you reach a point where in the height of summer, so like towards the end of August, there's festivals on. So the bands that you kind of want to play are either at them playing or attending, and your crowd tend to be at them as well. So I tend to like lay off my programming from kind of like the second week of August until like the start of September, because with basically, for those of you who don't know, Salisbury's premier venue was the City Hall Salisbury, which held about 1,500, I think it was.
Something around that.
Yeah, quite an impressive venue if you go in there with the lights off and the stage show on. If you go in there, it just looks like a big sports gym. That's been used for the vaccination program since last year, the end of 2020 actually, and it's going to continue again until next year. Salisbury Arts Centre, brilliant venue, really great. But since it became part of Wiltshire Creative, it's very like arts focused rather than music.
Yeah.
So I was working with them initially after the lockdown, getting original performers in, and the nights were going quite well, and they had to be like seated, like acoustic type stuff. But they've gone in their own direction, and subsequently people are coming to Brown Street or the Winchester Gate as opposed to going there, which is a real shame. We're going to expand at the end of the year to increase our capacity by another 100, which will put us at 300, which will be a really good level for the touring circuit, with like, plumbed in rig, etc. and that. So I think once we reach that point, things are going to get a lot more exciting for us.
Sure.
We're still finding our feet at the moment and seeing which shoes fit us best. So I think once we got the right ones on, we should get running. So
cool. Well, I think it's that time in the interview where we ask the guest to pick a track that represents the Salisbury scene at the moment. What have you got for us?
There's a band called Love Is Enough, who are like an electro pop rock type band, who have quite exciting stuff they've coming up. In View, previously Echoes, they've got a track called Loco that's worth checking out. There's lots of bands to mention, but for me, you can't look further than Carsick at the moment. They're making music which for me is like a fusion of like Jamie T meets Slaves meets the Streets type vibe. I just think they're destined for big things, and I think there'll be a point in a few years where we'll have a drink and we'll be like, oh God, do you remember when we both put Carsick on in their first tour? And it's like, and they'll be huge. And it reminds me a little bit of, well, I don't know, I put on Idols when they were at Music Box. Had Frank Turner at the Barn, both on their like real low bits. I'm not saying they're going to reach those peaks. I really hope they do, especially for Salisbury music. But it's just, I don't know, I get this little vibe that some of these shows that I've put on, the show I put on with them earlier in the year with this one coming up, it's going to be one that I look back on.
Does it feel like something you choose? Are you all set, ready to lose? No one's listening, no one's listening, no one's listening, no one listens. How does it feel to feel the truth? I feel the fire in my eyes is burning. I feel the fire in my eyes is burning. It hurts the worst when nobody cares. I'll close my eyes and imagine you there. I'll burn, 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 let it all burn. The fire in my eyes, it's burning. Does it feel like the wires are new? I feel the shaking, I'm gonna break loose. And I'm wondering, yes, I'm wondering. Everybody's looking in, and I feel the pain set in. See the light, it's calling. I feel the fire in my eyes, it's burning. I feel the fire in my eyes, it's burning. It hurts the worst when nobody cares. I'll close my eyes and imagine you there. I'll burn, 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 let it all burn. The fire in my eyes, it's burning. I can see you in your head. It's calling me. I can see you in your smile. It haunts me. I can see you in your light. It's calling me. I've come to realize everything's wrong. I'll take my own advice and I'll burn it down. Burn. It hurts the worst when nobody cares. I'll close my eyes and imagine you there. I'll burn, 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 let it all burn. The fire in my eyes, it's burning.
So in lieu of a classic track from Thom Belk there, we've gone with another Salisbury band, Love Is Enough. And this is their track, Burn. It's their debut track, only released in April this year. So if you like that, do check them out. There is more to come.
And the band Karsik, who both yourself and Tom have talked about a couple of times during this show, it's another band where there's a lot of interest about what they're doing. We haven't played anything of theirs yet, just because they don't have any YouTube videos, and we need to keep the YouTube people happy. But by the sounds of it, the way they're escalating, it won't be long until they're far more well known.
Indeed, they are definitely a band that I would pin all my hopes on.
All right then, but you're not touting them for a number one yet. The Kieran's predictions aren't.
Not yet.
Not
Too
right
early.
Now. Too early. No, we have to wait and see. Test the water. All right then. Cheers for that, Kieran. Have you got any news you want to talk about? Actually,
Yeah,
I
so
do know you do have news.
we have news. Yes. So Big Jeff from Bristol, who's currently in Swansea Hospital in the burns unit, has shared a picture of himself, and he's doing much better. He's conscious. He's chatting to people. He is definitely over the worst of it. I think he's got a long road to recovery, obviously still, but he's alive and kicking, and he seems in good spirits. So great news for Big Jeff and Big Jeff fans out there, which I include myself in that.
Yes, for people who aren't familiar with the story, so Big Jeff is probably Bristol's most famous gig goer and music supporter. And he was quite sadly involved in a house fire a few weeks ago. So he's been in Swansea Burns unit ever since, and he's kind of missed the first festival, summer of festivals in 3 years. He sadly missed that, so which obviously we're very gutted about. But there's been a lot of love for Jeff wherever you go, isn't there?
A lot of love.
Yeah. Okay. I spotted when I was just looking through the papers a story that's come up, and we've talked about this before with previous guests. Bands who want to go and play in Europe. There's been some quite big names who are really struggling to sort out the paperwork and get their visas and get their instruments taken over to play between the UK and EU. And people have been saying the government really needs to step up and sort this out. I know the government's got other things on its mind right now, but it does seem to be affecting a lot of people in the industry.
I did see that it was being put before the Commons about addressing this, but I don't think it has actually reached it yet. But yeah, it's a problem that hasn't gone away. The musicians we had on here did say that would be the case, and it has come to pass. You know, it's impossible for people to tour and go abroad. So do we want to do something about it? Time will tell.
I think we should. I think we need to find a way around that. Cool. Any other news from yourself?
That is it, mate. I am newsed out.
Okay, that makes a change for you. Couple of gigs I wanted to talk about. I know I've said personally my festivals are done for the summer, but we've got WOMAD coming up at the end of July, which is 28th to 31st of July. That is at Charlton Park in Malmesbury. That is the World of Music and Dance Festival is what WOMAD stands for.
WOMAD, yeah.
Headlining, they have Flaming Lips, which I'm quite gutted I didn't get tickets for that.
What?
They've also got Angelique Kidjo, Leanne La Havas, Kay Tempest, and the Selector. I'd love to see the Selector as well.
I cannot believe Flaming Lips are playing a stone's throw from my house.
Yeah, and neither of us bothered to get tickets. I can get a residence discount for that as well.
Jesus, John.
Maybe it's not too late. Maybe would it be unethical to pretend to be from Ukraine because they've just announced that they're giving 100 free tickets away to any refugees who...
No is the answer to that. In shortly, it is not unethical. I'll see you down the front.
Cool. All right, then.
And with that, John?
Well, right, with that incredibly tasteful end to the show, if you want to get in touch, yourisolation@gmail.com. You can find us online at Spotify and YouTube and all the other streaming services. Real, we will leave it at that. Thank you, Kieran. It's been lovely to have a chat to you. It's been nice to get the show back on the road again, and I will speak to you same time, same place next week. Thank you for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Take care, everyone. Toodle pip.